So the Game Awards were last night, and I did not watch them. It was my sister's birthday, and we had a nice family dinner. I made chicken parmesan. I actually made two different kinds of chicken parmesan. One with sort of a bright tomato sauce, very very simple, very lively, and then another which was actually kind of a savory Italian sausage, sort of a darker sauce. And I made two pans of chicken parm. And it was delicious. Had some bucatini noodles to go with it. Oh, no complaints from anybody. It turned out really good, unlike the Game Awards. I've watched or half watched the Game Awards most years. I've missed a couple other ones. Honestly, I just find myself so bored. And I've written multiple times about the Game Awards and how I think chiefly the problem is, there's been two problems over the years, in my opinion. One, they're just too long. 3.5 hours is too long for an award show. I know half an hour of that is pre-show. 3 hours for an award show is too long. Especially, something like video games. I think it feels a little bit like a circle jerk when you spend 3 hours on an award show. And we'll get to the nature of this year's show in a minute. The other problem over the years has been very cringy, sort of, cringy segments, ads, gimmicks. That has been toned down a little bit recently in the last few years. But that's been a problem where it's just hard to take the show seriously because it's so amateurish. And then it's so damn long. But this year, I skipped, but I did go back and watch some acceptance speeches and some of the trailers and read about it and talked about it with some people that did watch it. And the consensus seems to be this. We have a 3.5 hour award show that devoted almost no time to actually giving out awards and letting the people who won these ostensibly prestigious awards time to give a speech and say thank you. There's talk that this is a direct result of Christopher Judge giving like a really long speech with God of War, his God of War acceptance, but and he made a joke about it this year, saying his speech was longer than the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, which is a pretty good joke. I'm not going to lie. Although I think people have really made. Just a side note, I think it's funny that people complain about the length of a Call of Duty campaign when the Call of Duty campaigns are always super short. It's like complaining that the sky is blue or grass is green. Anyways, this year it appears that if you got an award that actually gave you time to give a speech, you had a sign at the front, facing you giving your speech, saying that it's time to wrap it up. And it starts flashing after 30 seconds. So it says it the whole time. Like, you got to hurry up with this acceptance speech. From the moment you get up there, starts flashing, and then at 45 seconds, the music plays you out. So no matter if you're accepting Game of the Year or any other of these big awards, Game Director or any of these Best Actor, after 45 seconds, you're done. And I heard, and I can't verify this, but I've heard that when you about 12 minutes of the Game Awards were spent on Game Awards this year. Jeff Keighley, who runs this, who started this in 2014, multiple times during the show simply rattled off the winners of different categories, like Best RPG. Which, I understand for some categories in a show that has this many categories, you can't give them all and have them all with speeches. But I think there's a better way to do this. So if I were to, since the cringier stuff has been toned down and we're never going to get away from it completely, I'll leave that to the side. My first suggestion is you limit the length of the Game Awards because 3 hours is too long. 3 hours plus a 30-minute pre-show is way too long. Then you make a choice. You either have this be the Game Awards where you give due time and respect to the awards and the ceremony itself, or you have it be some kind of winter game festival where a lot of new games are announced and we get lots of trailers and lots of, the razzle-dazzle of a show that's more interested about the future of games rather than honoring the ones that just came out this year. Do one or the other, or even do both on separate nights, or have different segments or something. That's an option. There's different ways you could work around this. But if you're going to do a game awards ceremony, it has to be about the game awards. That has not happened this year. It's always been kind of something that Keighley seems very uninterested in, and we've always had a lot of the categories kind of pushed to the side. Now, again, I don't think we can do all the categories, but you should pick the ones that are going to be shown during the ceremony, and you should give them the amount of time and respect they're due. I don't think we should have 8-minute acceptance speeches, but a couple minutes to talk, to say your who you're grateful for. Larian, they won for Baldur's Gate 3. They were actually literally dedicating the game and the award to someone who passed away during its development. And this is when they were getting played off the stage. That's just appalling, honestly. Like, there's no humanity there. There's just this, well, you got a 45-second timer. We're not gonna obviously sometimes people go on too long and need to be played off the stage. That does happen. But there should be a human element where there's not just a 45-second countdown. You have somebody that's in charge saying, okay, all right, this speech has run its course. Let's hurry it along. Maybe that's 2 minutes. Maybe that's 2.5 minutes. Maybe that's, maybe it's sooner than that. Maybe it's longer. But there has to be a human element because this is an award ceremony. We're supposed to be honoring these game developers and artists and coders and everyone else, designers, in this show. And instead, everyone was rushed along. I think you pick, the 20 categories or whatever that are exciting enough and important enough to show during the ceremony. And then maybe you have a non-live version or some other version that people can watch if they want to, where they go through the other ones instead of just rattling them off in a 10-second splurt like best is this and this is it, like in the show last night. There's another segment that goes through those categories, and maybe I don't know how you structure that exactly, but at least you give everyone their fair due and their time, and you don't just sort of rattle it off during the show. That means that during the actual live stream, we wouldn't have as many categories and it wouldn't take as long. Now, you cut down the show to 2 hours instead of 3.5 hours, and you still have time with those, 20 or so categories to have acceptance speeches, to honor the games and the developers, and to show off some new trailers and exciting stuff. There doesn't need to be as many trailers or announcements or interviews or segments like that in the awards in an award show. Now, again, I understand that that's where a lot of the hype is, and that's what draws a lot of the attention and a lot of the funding, because the show needs to have advertisers and whatnot. But you could still strip that down a bit. You could even have the stuff shown during the awards ceremony itself, and then a post show where there's even more stuff shown. But that's when the awards ceremony has wrapped up, and there's maybe a pre-recorded thing or something like that. People can sort of opt to keep watching or not. But at the moment, I don't know. It feels like a pretty lost cause, and it's really hard for me to take this award ceremony seriously. And it's hard for me, I write about video games. I cover video games here on this channel, and I had literally no desire whatsoever to watch that show. I can read about the results afterwards. If there's any good segments, I can just watch it on YouTube. All the trailers I need to see, I can just watch after the fact. And there should, and I guess maybe that's just me also. I'm not really big into award shows. They're always too long and too tedious for my taste. And it's just in this age of the internet, it's so easy to just find everything you want to see so quickly. It's at your fingertips. But I think if it was a 2-hour show, that I would be much more inclined to tune in next year. I feel like they just toy with you with this long-ass show where you have to wait forever to see who wins best game. You have to wait forever hoping to see, the new Elden Ring DLC trailer or, whatever. But really, this just feels like 3 hours of overindulgence. Jeff Keighley, pandering to his favorites like Hideo Kojima, who's always given a bunch of time. It's like the Hideo Kojima show. Kojima gets more time in the Game Awards than all of the award winners do combined. He has a new game coming called OD, which they showed a weirdly creepy, confusing segment. maybe it'll be good. I don't know. I thought Death Stranding was extremely tedious, and while it had cool music and art direction and world building, I couldn't deal with it. It just drove me crazy. If I want to deliver packages, I'll go get a job at UPS. Okay. Anyways, so that's my thoughts on the Game Awards. I don't feel bad. I don't regret missing them last night at all. I've watched some of the trailers. There's some pretty cool ones. There's a new game from Abubakar Salim, who's the voice actor from Assassin's Creed Origins and one of the stars in the really good show Raised by Wolves. There's some DLC coming to Final Fantasy 16. There's a bunch of stuff, and that's cool. I love seeing all that stuff. I love seeing. There's a new trailer from Moon Studios, the developer of Ori and the Blind Wisp, or yeah, is that Ori and the Blind Forest? Yeah, Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisp, or something like that. The Ori games. Anyways, it's called No Rest for the Wicked, and it's like I don't know. It's a cool looking RPG with a great art style. I'm really that was cool. So yeah, there's some cool trailers, and that's a great part of this show. I don't deny it. It's fun to see new stuff, but it's just this. The Game Awards have an identity crisis, and they need to figure out what they want to be and just be it. Because at this point, it's just a mess. And I think a lot of people are pretty unhappy by how it went down. I also, some people have mentioned that not mentioning the massive amount of layoffs in the industry was a mistake. And I do think that maybe there should have been a time to just say, we support all these developers and wish them the best or something. Other people said, there should be like a segment, somebody should have mentioned Gaza. I don't think that the Game Awards are the right platform to mention geopolitical conflicts. I mean, you could, if you really want to get down to it, we could be talking about Gaza and in Ukraine and Yemen and any number of other places with horrible human rights crises going on. I just don't think it's the place for award ceremonies. It feels like when they do that at, the Academy Awards or whatever, it feels like these celebrities are just so full of themselves that we should care what they think about something as complicated as a crisis in the Middle East. And I don't think it has any business in the award show. But I do think mentioning game industry issues and problems is not a bad idea. Because we are supposed to be, these are for the people making games. And if their livelihoods are being impacted, that does matter. So, all right, let me know what you think. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching. Peace.